I want you to think about something. I want you to think about something that might make you feel uncomfortable. But I want you to think, have you built a life that you just want to escape from? As you can see here, this guy was definitely looking like he was living the ideal life. I was at some club. I think this was when I was like 21, maybe 22. But I was more stuck here than ever before in life, in dead end job after dead end job, and just really aimlessly going through life. Fast forward, obviously, probably 3 or 4 years. This is me in Morocco, free as a bird, riding literally a camel on the beaches of Morocco in Africa, which is a place I never thought I'd go to. But without further ado, let's get into the video, and hopefully this can bring you some clarity on how to escape from a life that you maybe have unintentionally built. And I'm going to share with you where I wish I didn't go so wrong, and how I got myself stuck, and how I knew I was stuck. So without further ado, let's get into it. The life I unintentionally built that I wanted to escape from. So truthfully, again, from the outside looking in, my life didn't seem so bad. I was I had a big friend group. I had an apartment. It wasn't the worst apartment in the world. I mean, it was definitely in my hometown. I had a paid for car, I had a girlfriend, all that kind of stuff. But if you zoomed in on my life at a micro level and really dissected these things, you would see that I was honestly just absolutely miserable. Like, my life was horrible. It's something that I wouldn't really wish on anybody. And that's the reason why I'm making this video, because if you are in this vicious cycle, then this can help you get out of that cycle. So again, I was driving a 2014 Toyota Camry as a graduation present. That's about the only thing I was ever handed in my life. I was in an extremely toxic relationship. So I had a girlfriend from like 2018 all the way until about 2020. And me and her were extremely toxic, on and off, so on and so forth. Just very unhealthy relationship on both sides. Lived in my hometown, the town that I went to high school in, elementary school in, middle school I didn't want to leave because it was comfortable. It's where my friends were, and that's all I ever knew. My friends at the time had a pretty big friend group. As you can see here, I blurred out their faces because I'm not in the business of downing people or anything like that. Everyone's on their own path, but at the same time, again, toxic relationships, even with friends. Everyone was drinking alcohol, partied, had no goals. And when I say partied, I mean like they were getting into, drugs as well. People, the way they made money was definitely not legal. It was just not the kind of life that you want to build. It's not the kind of life that you want, that you're going to be very motivated to do, anything in. Truthfully, I was working dead end job after dead end job. Like, I think that I was working in a warehouse, like literally doing like SKU numbers and on products. I was doing DoorDash at one point. I was pretty much just doing anything I could to make money. But honestly, the bulk of my money came off of the COVID loans and the PPE loans. I don't advise anyone to do that, but at that time, that's what I was doing. And obviously it was unsustainable. It was going to dry up as it did. And then, just last but not least, I never worked out. Like, I was extremely comfortable, obviously, in a relationship, ate horribly. I mean, I was probably eating, Chick-fil-A every day, fast food every day, Subway, all these kinds of things, and just was in the worst shape of my life. Like, it's not even a question. And this lasted from about 2019 to 2023 ish. And obviously there were some things that happened. Not everything happened at one dramatic time, but from that time, from 2019 to about 2023, especially with COVID and everything like that, it really kind of sent the world into a spiral. In general, really, you could say that it really started for me in 2018, but I was still in high school. That was actually the year that I graduated. So I really don't count that. I was a kid at that point. But from 2019 to 2023, I was a man at that point. I had full responsibility over my life, and I just wasn't doing anything. Now, I lived this way for a while until I finally hit my breaking point, which is the next slide. This was probably in about 2021 when I found out that my then girlfriend cheated on me in Miami of all places. So, you know, basically, long story short, we were in a very toxic relationship. I was not a very faithful guy to her, so I really can't complain too much. But this was an incident where I saw one of her friends post on her Snapchat story her, making out with another guy and stuff like that. And for me, like for the whole world to see that, it was like way too embarrassing. At least I had some pride inside of me to, call it quits at that point. And then boom, we break up. She was helping me with the rent or, whatever, however she was making her money. And at that point, I couldn't afford the apartment anymore. So I was, on the verge of probably getting evicted, and having to literally leave my apartment. I went into a very deep depression. We were a very toxic couple, obviously, but when you're with someone for a long time, it feels like it's comfortable, right? And when inside of your heart, like, yo, I'm fully done at this point, it's gonna hit you hard, right? Because I knew I couldn't go back. I couldn't. So I was really, really, really depressed. And then I was the fattest that I had ever been at 225. Like I'm 6'1", and being 225 pounds for me, like as you can see here in this picture, is just not good. Like I looked horrible, and I always use this picture, but it's really like was my peak worst point that I've ever been at. And growing up, I played sports. I was always in great shape, but this is kind of shows you drinking beer and alcohol and sitting around playing video games. This is what that gets you. And then my friends, the big friend group that I had, a lot of them, I won't go into too many details, but a lot of them knew about the situation, where actually one of which was in Miami at the time when all that happened. A lot of my friends were just really fake friends, like truthfully, and people that were very untrustworthy. And it was the way that they led their life and how they made their money. And I should have known better. But again, when you're comfortable and you don't want to be alone, it's easy to get wrapped up in fake friendships and, not having real people around you and quality people, salt of the earth people. So, in hindsight, thinking about this, obviously, this was the best thing for me. It made me look at the life that I built and made me realize I had nobody to blame but myself. So, at this point, even like actually around me taking this picture, like I felt like my life was falling apart. And because I had no like the I had very little structure in my life. Again, back to the comfort. Like it's just everything was surface level because I was trying to find the easiest, path. I was trying to find the most comfortable path, and I didn't want to lose anyone that I had built, relationships with or friendships with because I felt like I was going to lose too much at that time because I had no good friendships or relationships to base it off of. So I realized that I had to make a serious change, ASAP. That was when I went to that deep depression. I realized how far my mind could drift, and I've never been a depressed person, but when that hit me, I was like, this is serious. Like this could turn into me, being, God forbid, but like suicidal or whatever. And so I was like, I need to make a change, and if I don't make a change soon, I'm going to end up in the same position that I'm in, but just with maybe a new group of friends or a new girlfriend at that point. So I hit my breaking point. Now I had a major shift. Okay, when I really dissected my life, I realized I had to start doing something productive in my life. So the shift came probably around 2022, 2023, and really at the end of 2022, around 2023 is when I started like really thinking about things and thinking about long-term things, long-term ways to make money, and stop thinking so just short-term and quick, and get rich quick schemes and things like that. So I got into an extremely healthy relationship. At first, we weren't that healthy, honestly, because I was still drinking and trying to let go of a lot of the shit that I had caused in my life. But we grew together, we learned together, and we're still together to this day, which is one of my biggest blessings is my girlfriend. Started businesses and failed, but key. I learned so much from the failures. I've started like 3 or 4 different businesses that not necessarily failed, but just like realized that I wanted to pivot or didn't want to do that, and or maybe did fail at some point. But I learned so much from trying and learning these intricate parts of what it takes to run a successful business. Started listening to self-help audiobooks. That changed my life. The Atomic Habits, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, just these books that really were pivotal in my life. It started helping me think about, okay, how do successful people structure their lives? And maybe I should mirror them and kind of try myself. I cut my friend circle down to a few people because I would be lying if I said that all my friends were bad. Even back when I was, in my rut, I still had good friends, but the bulk of them were people that I definitely needed to cut out of my life. But I did keep a few and met some people along the way that I really, still talk to this day, that were really beneficial in my shifting period. Started dieting and hitting the gym, started hitting the gym religiously, like 7 days a week, cardio, abs, weightlifting, progressive overload. I started with a calorie deficit and then eventually got into no carb and animal based, which really changed my physique for the best. Got into a high paying sales job. So the ethos here and the thinking behind this was, if I was going to eventually start my own business, I needed to see how a business ran from ground zero. So I actually got into this high paying sales job, and because I've always loved sales. I'm good at sales, but I almost needed to know, okay, I can make $50,000 deals, $60,000 deals, $100,000 deals. I needed to know that that kind of money was out there, and there was customers that actually would pay that kind of money if you had a good, product. And that sales job really opened my eyes to those kinds of things, and just understanding the logistics behind business and the intrinsics behind a very successful company. And then one of the most pivotal things for me was I started to set big goals on a vision board. Some of those goals, I'm not going to get into all of them because I've actually touched on this in other videos, but some of those goals were moving from my hometown, getting my dream car, and starting a business. And I put that with along with 7 other goals, so 10 in total. And I really gave myself about a year to hit these goals. But that's just like one key thing that you guys need to do is set goals. Okay, set goals. And they don't have to be massive goals, but just set goals, because when you start hitting these goals, even if they're small and minuscule, your brain is going to, first of all, love the feeling of winning, but then you're going to start getting momentum in life and realizing, okay, this is possible. And then you can start setting the bar higher, higher, and then higher. And then all of a sudden you're hitting, huge goals that aren't so hard to hit anymore. So, at first these goals felt impossible, but after some time, I started gaining real momentum. Again, once you start hitting goals and moving forward in life, you're going to gain momentum. Okay. Backwards momentum is very real if you're drinking, partying, hanging out with the wrong people. But forward momentum and upward momentum, okay, is very real as well. And I've experienced both. So definitely, definitely, definitely set big goals and start working towards those things. And then at this point, when I was doing this for a few months, waking up early and really locking in and getting my life together, I realized the power of consistency, goals, and avoiding comfort. So anything that was comfortable to me, I would like intentionally avoid. And let's say that I had a thought and I was like, man, like I really want to go for a run today. I wouldn't dwell on that thought. I would legitimately get ready, throw on my running shoes, throw on some shorts, and go for a run. And I would just run until I was tired. And at one point, when I was in the shift period, no joke, I was running 10 miles every Sunday just to see it, just to see if I could do it. It wasn't even for the physical aspects or trying to lose weight or anything. It was literally for my mental. It was for my mental. I was listening to a lot of David Goggins at this time. So I would throw on like motivational David Goggins, speeches and things like that. And I would go for these long, long, long ass runs. Now, this obviously set me up for major success this shift period. is where I'm at currently, which is the life I intentionally built that I don't want to escape from, which is a life that I am currently living. So this past year, 2025, in August, I purchased my dream car, the AMG C63S. That's the car right there. It is everything and more. I had this on my vision board, like I said, for a long time, and I finally pulled the trigger in August. It's a 2021. It's so badass. I actually have a whole YouTube video about me going to get it. It's my highest viewed video. Go check that out. I moved to a new city in Tampa in a high rise. We actually went and looked at a couple different high rises when we came to visit Tampa, and some of which, I will say actually the high rises in Tampa when we first came down here, it was either very expensive or cheaper, but like not in the best areas. And actually the place that I live right now, the high rise that I'm filming this in as we speak, was actually a little bit out of our budget, but something told me like just do it, kind of jump and build the parachute on the way down, and we did. And now obviously the rent seems minuscule because I'm making way more money than I was making when I first moved down here, or when I was planning to move down here. Another thing that I'm doing is scaling my business. I've talked about this again on other videos, but I own a SMMA agency. We run ads for local service-based businesses, scaling that to 5 figures a month. I'm in the best shape of my life. I always wanted abs, and once I accomplished that, I felt like, all right, I can kind of take my foot off the pedal as far as the gym goes, because like once you get in shape, you don't have to necessarily keep pushing like crazy unless you're trying to become a bodybuilder. But it's more just about maintaining. I have an expansive network of killers that I've met down here in Tampa and kind of all over the US, making 5 figures every single month. $10,000 a month was the biggest goal for me, and I'm absolutely crushing that at this point. And also just traveling the world, like this picture right here. This was from our villa in Marbella, Spain, that we went to this past summer. I have some big trips coming up this summer as well, and maybe some potentially big news that I want to drop here in the next coming months. But I let's just say that I might be doing a whole lot more traveling, and obviously taking you guys with me. So changing my life was not easy by any means, but if you want to build something and create a life that you don't want to escape from, it's going to take time and effort, and it's going to take honestly all of you. But nonetheless, it's the most gratifying thing that you can possibly do, that one man can possibly do. You you are in control of your destiny. Like we all know this. We all know these things, but it's the small details, it's the small efforts that you make every day. It's the small things of you saying no to things that don't further you, and saying yes to yourself, that's really going to make you achieve true success, and make you want to live a life actually worth living. So I actually pointed out a few shortcuts that probably would have made my journey a little bit faster and easier, that I want to show you guys, because this is going to be extremely beneficial for you. So there's an effective exercise that I want you to do. I want you to sit, okay, in your room, and I want you to think about your life. Okay, turn off all distractions, turn your phone off, absolutely everything. Just sit there and think about your life. I want you to think about the car you drive, if you have a car. Obviously, if you don't, then think about that. Your relationship or your love life in general, where you live, the city, the state, the house or apartment that you live in, your friend group, your finances and your job, and your physique. Okay, I want you to think about these things. And I want you to think that if you had to live this exact life, and picture if you had to live this exact life for the next 5 years, could you do it? All right. Now, the reason why I said 5 years is because I pretty much built a life that I wanted to escape from, that I lived for, and for 5 years. I was coming up on that 5 year period, and until I finally had enough, until I finally knew, like, okay, I have to make a serious change in my life. But really picture the exact life that you're living right now, and think, could you do this for the next 5 years if you had to, with no upgrades, no advancements, with the amount of money that you're making, anything like that? Could you live this life? Now, if the answer is no, then this next slide is for you, and this is exactly how you're going to escape. Okay, this is how you're going to break out of the life that you don't want to live and start building a life that you do want to live. So this is the blueprint to build a life you don't want to escape from. All right, the first thing is you need to be brutally honest with yourself about what isn't working in your life. Okay, now this means relationships, the relationship with your girlfriend, the relationships and the friendships that you have. Is your job going to be a part of your new life? Is your job a sustainable job that you can keep? Is the amount of money you're making at this job, is this going to be enough for you to fund your new lifestyle? You got to start thinking about what isn't working. Okay, not what's working, but what isn't working in your life. Now, number two, and this is so important, do not overlook this. Design your day to day to be sustainable for a long period of time. So when I was in my shifting period, when I was shifting and transitioning, all right, I started setting up my days to be extremely sustainable, to where I fit in the gym, I fit in working on the course that I was taking at that time, to make money from my day job, to have enough time with my girlfriend, to listen to audiobooks. I set up my day to day to be extremely sustainable. Okay, so set your day up. All right, have work blocks in your day. Be productive. Find time to go to the gym. All right, it's not that you don't have enough time, it's that your schedule is all over the place. Your each of your days should look the same for quite a long time, while setting up, okay, while you're in a transitional period, while setting up your dream life. All right, now number three, get in the gym and get in the best shape of your life. Getting in the best shape of your life is going to absolutely change your life. First of all, you're going to feel 10 times better with, you building testosterone and not having low T. All right, so effort's going to feel better for you. You'll make tons of connections in the gym. I know that I have. You're going to obviously be extremely confident when you walk in, and you are just, the man. You're in great shape because everyone knows what it takes to get in great shape. You cannot buy a nice body. All right, you can't buy it. It has to be earned. All right, so get in the best shape of your life. There's no excuse for this one. You should be in the gym for at least an hour a day. At least an hour a day. All right. Choose discomfort on purpose. Obviously, this kind of goes without saying, but if you're living a very comfortable life, you need to start breaking out of that. If it's 30 degrees outside, go for a run. Get very uncomfortable. I still do these kinds of things. I still go on runs when it's 35 degrees outside. I actually just did this a couple of days ago. Wake up early and go to the gym. Force yourself to be uncomfortable. All right? Force yourself to be uncomfortable. Number five, this is probably for me actually going to be the most important thing on this list, is going to be remove before you add to your life. All right, remove before you add. So anyone who is not furthering you and who is actually holding you back and dragging you down, you need to remove those people. Any vices that you need to, that again are holding you back, you need to remove those things. Anything that is distracting you, anything, you know what I mean when I say remove before you add. Remove toxicity out of your life before you add positivity into your life, because the positivity is going to get, it's going to get thrown off. It's going to, you're going to build a streak, and you're going to get thrown off with a night of going to the bar and getting wasted out of your mind, or smoking a joint before you go to bed. It's going to throw off everything. So remove these things before you add, okay, positive things into your life. And then last but not least, this is something that I am now starting to understand. And I've kind of gone into like a monk mode to finish out 2025 and to start 2026. And I've done a lot of reflecting in my life. Okay. And I'm always trying to get better. All right. And what I've learned from having some solidarity in my life, and cutting out distractions and doing a dopamine detox, is purpose and passion before profits. Money is awesome. All right. I'll be the first to tell you, money is great, but money is not everything. If you're not chasing your purpose, or what you think is your passion, you're not going to be truly happy. I have made tens and tens of thousands of dollars in a single month before, But I'll tell you what, I feel more satisfied when I upload a YouTube video than I do when I'm making a shit ton of money. And that goes to show you that I need to focus on my passions, which is why I'm back. I took a 4-month hiatus from YouTube after my most viewed video, but I got realigned and I thought about, in those 4 months, what's truly important in my life. And YouTube is something that I want to stick with, that I want to grow more than I even want to grow my business. There's a saying, if you build a good garden, the butterflies will come. It's the same thing. If I grow a great personal brand, eventually I'll be able to monetize my brand. But that's not what I'm in it for. I'm in it to actually help people. But you never know what God has in store when you actually chase the passion that he put on your that he placed on your heart. So chase purpose and passion before profits. All right. But boys, that is just a sample size and some things that you can do to break out of the current life or your current reality. Okay. If you're miserable on a day to day, you do not have to be miserable. You do not have to live your life, very, very comfortably and comfortably numb. You don't have to do these things. You don't have to wake up and go to a job that you hate. You don't have to wake up and be in constant chaos. All right. You don't have to be with that girlfriend that you have at the moment that you just feel like, oh, if I lose her, I'm not gonna have anybody. No, no, no. That's not the case. Build yourself first. Get rid of that toxic girlfriend. Okay. Get rid of those people that bring you down. Build yourself, and good people will come to you. Good people will come to you. All right. Just try. Okay. Try these things because it changed my life. And I know that it can do the same for you. And until next time, I will see you boys. Peace.